The war with Ukraine has dealt a blow to almost every Russian family. According to a Levada Center poll, every fifth adult in the country reported the death of relatives, friends, or acquaintances at the front. The scale of losses has turned out to be so enormous that the demand for an end to military action is rapidly growing in society. According to a study conducted in late August, 58% of respondents admitted that the war had directly affected their lives or the lives of their families. For 22%, the consequences were very serious. Of those affected, almost a third had lost loved ones, and another 28% knew people who were fighting or had already fought with Ukraine. Every fifth respondent had a severe emotional reaction to the war, and 14% complained about rising prices and worsening financial situations. But the main result of the survey is the record support for peace talks. In August, 66% of Russians spoke out in favor of ending the war through negotiations, which was a historical maximum for the entire period of the full-scale invasion. For comparison, last summer, 58% supported negotiations. If we transfer the survey results to the real figures, it turns out that about 20 million Russians have already lost someone close to them in the war. This confirms the estimates of independent projects, according to which Russian losses in killed and wounded have reached 1 million people. All of this is also perceived as a message and demand from the Russians to Vladimir Putin. In fact, society is tired of war. Propaganda continues to promise victories, but Russians increasingly see the price, the lives of relatives and friends. And more people are coming to the conclusion war is not worth these sacrifices, and negotiations are becoming the only way out. And if the tragedy of frontline losses did not directly affect everyone, the economy hit almost everyone. Rising prices, falling incomes, and unemployment dragged millions of families into debt. For even more people, the war brought constant anxiety, stress, and the need for antidepressants. Russia is living in an atmosphere of protracted crisis, where personal losses, economic difficulties, and psychological pressure are intertwined into one ball. In fact, society is tired of war. Propaganda continues to promise victories, but Russians increasingly see the price, the lives of relatives and friends, empty wallets, and their own health. And more people are coming to the conclusion war is not worth the sacrifices, and negotiations are becoming the only way out.
An international activist flotilla seeking to break the Israeli blockade of Gaza said Wednesday it was attacked for the second night in a row. According to Associated Press, the global Sumud flotilla said that one of its boats, the British-flagged Alma, was attacked by a drone as it was docked in Tunisian waters. No one was harmed. The group shared security camera footage showing people on board shouting, "Fire," and pointing to the sky. Projectiles on fire fell on the deck, exploding and setting off a blaze. The attack appeared similar to the one the night before on the Portuguese-flagged Family vessel. Tunisian authorities denied on Tuesday claims that the first attack had been caused by drones, adding they were investigating. There was no immediate reaction to the second attack. The flotilla, consisting of around 20 boats, departed from the port city of Barcelona in Spain with a symbolic amount of humanitarian aid on September 1. It had planned a stop in Tunisia before sailing on to Gaza. These repeat attacks come during intensified Israeli aggression on Palestinians in Gaza, and are an orchestrated attempt to distract and derail our mission, the activist said. The global Sumud flotilla continues undeterred. There was no immediate reaction from the Israeli authorities.
Influential Ukrainian OSINT analyst Tatarigami and his Frontelligence Insight team have published the results of a large-scale study on unauthorized desertion in the Russian army, and it shows a sharp increase in deserters in the ranks of Putin's army. According to their data, the number of escapes and desertions in the Russian army has increased 2 to 3 times in recent months. This is not about isolated incidents. The database contains 13,807 confirmed cases of unauthorized abandonment of a unit, recorded from 2022 to July 2025. The year 2025 has become especially alarming for the Kremlin. By July, the number of registered cases had already reached the level of 2024, indicating a doubling of the desertion rate. Researchers note that while cases of defection were relatively rare at the beginning of the war, the phenomenon is now widespread. Of the 13,807 cases reviewed by analysts, 11,341 involved contract soldiers, 2,457 were mobilized, and 9 were other categories, including conscripts. Thus, the overwhelming majority of deserters are contract soldiers. An example is the 30th Separate Motorized Rifle Brigade of the 2nd Combined Arms Army of the Russian Federation. From April 2023 to March 2025, 1,988 cases of desertion and unauthorized departure were officially recorded there. In less than 2 years, the number of fugitives is comparable to half of the brigade. The indicator increased especially sharply in 2024 to 2025. According to analysts, contract soldiers make up 73.6% of deserters in this unit. Mobilized soldiers appear in only 4.38% of cases, but this may be due to their high mortality rate rather than greater discipline. Separately, a sharp increase in desertions directly on the battlefield is noted. Since the summer of 2024, their number has increased more than tenfold. These data highlight the worsening crisis in the troops, despite harsh measures, including extrajudicial executions. Experts emphasize that the registered cases are not short-term absences, but official cases that are classified as criminal offenses in Russia. Another important conclusion concerns the quality of Russian troops. Although Moscow continues to fulfill its plans for recruiting personnel, a growing share of reinforcements comes from prisoners and persons under investigation. This directly affects the combat readiness of the army and the morale of the units. According to the Frontelligence Insight team, the current figures do not yet mean an immediate collapse of the Russian army. However, the rapid growth of desertion shows that even the most severe measures are not able to stop this process. The problem is becoming systemic and deepening with each passing month.